Eloise is doing her job. Unfortunately, I am not doing mine. It is July 4th, and last year at this time, I was doing this.
Two different...
Squirrely. This year at this time, I am contemplating, what am I doing? Okay, today I want to talk about something a little bit different as I'm thinking about what I do or what I'm not doing this year compared to other years. I'm thinking about the impact that the outdoor industry has on the world. And so I want to do something a little bit different today. I'm not in a kayak, which is my preferred place, but it is what it is. And so I thought I would point out a couple things, where this is not a discussion of politics. This is a discussion of the outdoor world and how it affects the non-outdoor world. I want to switch to the overhead for this. So I'm not really a fan of charts and such and graphs, but this is better illustrated by seeing these. I want to talk about the outdoor industry in general. Maybe we could do this with just a nice photo up here while I'm waiting. And so I work in the outdoor industry. I'm an outdoor educator. I also work in the retail end a little bit, as little as I have to maintain my benefits and health insurance and things like that. And so it's important for me to think about, for people to think about, the effect that the outdoor industry has on the rest of the world. So we talk a lot, or the rest of the United States, we talk a lot about how industries have power in Washington and their ability to lobby. And so I want to just think about the outdoor recreation industry. We bring in $887 billion in consumer spending annually, and that's more than pharmaceuticals or motor vehicles and parts, household utilities, gasoline and fuels, and education. The only industries that spend more are healthcare, which are these two, and financial services and insurance. So these people and these people have a lot of power in the United States over where government spends its money. But there's no reason that we in the outdoor recreation realm can't have that same sort of power. If you're watching this video, it's because you do something in the outdoors. But the outdoor community as a whole doesn't really have a lobby in Washington to say what should be going on. So I think this is a super important thing to think about. $887 billion in consumer spending, 7.6 million American jobs are associated with the outdoor recreation economy. Keep in mind that in the last presidential election, the current president made a big deal about talking about how he was going to support coal workers and bring coal back. There are 30,000 coal workers in the entire United States. So my question becomes, why is the government more concerned with coal workers than the 7.6 million jobs in the outdoor recreation community? We bring in $65.3 billion in federal tax revenue and $59 billion in state and local tax revenue. Where I live in the what's called the South Atlantic region, consumers spend about $179 billion. There are 1,561,000 jobs. We give $12.9 billion in federal tax revenues and $10.6 billion in state and local tax revenues. That is a massive amount of jobs. That's a massive amount of money, both coming in and going back to the federal government. When I pulled up this data, I looked at all the different regions that they study. And I was surprised to see, I expected the Pacific Northwest or the Northeast to be the largest in terms of spending, but it is really, the largest is the South Atlantic, which blew my mind. I couldn't believe that that was the biggest, $179.1 billion. And all of this outdoor recreation is made possible by America's public lands and waters. And so that's why I get upset when I see things like, oh, we're going to put an oil pipeline across the Appalachian Trail. Eventually that oil pipeline is going to leak. The Appalachian Trail makes billions of dollars for communities along the trail, from Georgia to Maine. it's an incredibly big revenue driver. There are books, there are hostels, there are restaurants, there are shopping centers, there are people who drive shuttles for hikers on the AT. That's even before the gear and all that stuff. A lot of money goes into the local economy. But if you despoil that trail by putting a pipeline across it, then you're going to lose money in that area. And anytime I see that they're opening up lands for oil drilling or coal mining or something like that, that's what I think about. Remember, back here, gasoline and fuels makes less money than we do, but they have more power in Washington. And so that's why things like that occur. So we need to be protecting America's public lands so that people like me and the 7.6 other million people and the 7.6 million other people who work associated with outdoor economy still have jobs. Right? And that's why we need to protect national parks and state parks and BLM land and stuff like that. Here's what people are spending money on each year. Each year, Americans spend $20 billion on trail sports gear versus $18 billion for home entertainment. We spend $14 billion a year on water sports gear. Specifically, what I do is kayaking. Primarily what I do is kayaking. We spend more money on water sports than we do on movie tickets. That blows my mind. Cycling and skateboarding, $97 billion. That's more money than is spent on video games. Video games. Come on, man. And we have no power. That has nothing to do with this. So what my point, and I do have one, is that we need to be working together to protect our environment so that we can use it in a safe, responsible, non-impaired way to continue having people work and recreate in the outdoors. I know that seems like it shouldn't be a big deal, but it's a big deal. So all of this data came from the Outdoor Industry Association, and it's all from 2017. I've seen bits and pieces of data from years later. This was a super comprehensive report that they did in 2017. So I'm hoping there's an update to it, but all of this data is easily found on the web. And I just think it's something we should be thinking about on July 4th as we're outdoors playing. Think about how we use that public land and how important that public land is for us to do things. I'm seeing over and over again, while COVID is still raging, people are going outdoors to do stuff that never did things in the outdoors before. A quick sidebar, make sure you're practicing leave no trace principles, be safe, have fun, stay in the outdoors, do lots of things in the outdoors, don't make this a one-time thing. But I'm seeing constantly that state parks here in North Carolina are reaching capacity by 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. This is very new, and it's driving retail sales, so I'm sure all of these numbers are going up as more people are buying bikes than ever before. It's super fascinating to see all these people recreating in the outdoors that didn't, so maybe there is hope for my career in the future. And that's just what I wanted to say. Think about how we use outdoor land and think about how we can't use outdoor land if we destroy it. If you found this interesting, or if you found the other stuff I do interesting, I'm hoping in the future to get back to teaching kayaking or the other things that I teach, backpacking stuff, navigation stuff. If you have questions about any of those things, feel free to connect with me online on Instagram. I am at adventure.otaku, and I'm happy to answer outdoor-related questions. Please follow me there. Please follow me here. Hopefully, I'll be getting back to some regularly scheduled programming soon. Hey, have a good day. I'll see you outside.